Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Let's start our video with a lovely tale of petty revenge over your mean boss. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. New boss takes over my store and fires me, then has the audacity of asking for my help. I worked at a gas station for a year. I got promoted to assistant manager after 4 months by the woman who hired me, Des. We worked great together, and in June she moved to Texas. Her last day was a Friday. Cue Monday, and the new manager comes in and bings a cashier from another store. The new manager, Judy, told my district manager that she wanted to make her cashier an assistant manager. She had to turn the store around. Well, I came in and told her on Friday that I was going to talk to a guy about a potential opportunity as a CDL driver. She told me that was a fireable offense. I informed her I was looking to better my life and wages by doing a career I wanted. She told me if I had any intention on talking to him, clock out and never come back. So I said, clock me out yourself, and left. An hour later, she calls me 7 times. I finish mowing, and on the 8th, I answer, and here's the call. OP? Yes? We have a problem. Okay. A customer bought propane and we can't find the key to unlock it, and he's been waiting for 15 minutes. Okay, what's the problem? Do you know where the key is? Yes. Okay, where is it? Thanks for firing me today. Good luck with the key. And then I hung up. She actually had the audacity to fire me, then ask for my help. And our second story. Old school construction architect with an ego. So this dates back to 1998. I'd been working construction for a year as a drywall finisher, spreading mud, when I was offered a job on a big crew. Only reason they wanted me to be a translator between English and French. I was good, but not fast or great at this point, but hey, $18 an hour was good money. We were working on a 5-story building. It was the first time I really had seen just the bones of a building. For those who are unfamiliar with this era of construction, I'm going to give you a little background on how it worked on sites this big. Each company had their own construction trailer. No one really had email, so each trailer had a couple of phone lines and a secretary. The building was for a real estate company. It was to be their headquarters. It was designed by an architect in New York as a favor to the owner of the building. So here's where the problem goes. My boss, Al, had all the framing, hanging the drywall, finished the seams and acoustic ceiling tiles with metal grid. Al goes to the general contractor with an issue on 3rd floor training room. Al, we got height problem on 3rd floor ceiling. General contractor, what's wrong now? He's got it at 4 feet off the floor. Wait, what? Yeah, both ceiling reflected plan and elevation show 4 feet off the finished floor. If I scale it, it'd be 12 feet. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Go ahead and send a request for information. Back then, requests for information were different than today. Usually meant someone was going to have to pay. So Al faxes over the request for information and marks it urgent. When request for information comes back, they were sent to both the general contractor and the subcontractor. So I'm sitting with Al and the general contractor just chatting around, and both secretary come out to the site, almost running with high heels through the debris. And both with crap-eating grins on their face. I'm thinking, oh, this crap should be good. Al and the general contractor, slow down, ladies, where's the fire? General contractor secretary, you got an urgent fax. Al secretary, we got the request for information back. Looking at the other secretary giggling. They look at their paper, then look at me, and general contractor reads it out loud. Request for information number XXX from office of A-Hole Architect Incorporated. Urgent request information of discrepancy on ceiling height from Al and office about training room XXX. Answer. How hard is it for you construction workers to understand never scale anything? I don't make mistakes. Refer to page A804 for detailed height instructions. General contractor. Well, Al, what does A804 say about ceiling heights? Al. 4 feet, bud. General contractor. Hey, Frenchie, do you think you can translate that to the ceiling guys and tell them it's a hot priority? I want it done by Sunday. Al. You heard him. Tell him to drop what he's doing and go to it. Me. 10-4. I go to the guy and they greet me with a tabernacle French-Canadian cuss word. Are you nuts, kid? I tell them what had transpired and told them that Al said to make it 4 feet. They grumbled, saying they would charge to do it again. Now, this training room wasn't your typical space. It was 300 feet long by 40 feet wide that could be separated to make multiple training rooms or one giant room with folding partitions. Monday comes, general contractor instructs the electrician to install all the lights as per prints. Yes, even his prints had 4-foot notation. Typically, we'd wait for electrical inspection, but we didn't. By Wednesday, the crew's putting tiles in. Saturday comes and there's an owner meeting, and he walks the job site with general contractor and talks about progress. Everything's going good till he gets to the 3rd floor training room door and sees a bar 4 feet from the ground and all the wires for the ceiling in plain sight. Owner: what in the hell is this? Don't you know how to read blueprints? General contractor: yes, sir, we do, and we did. We also sent an RFI, shows him the facts. Owner grins: yeah, he definitely has an ego from hell. Do you have everything documented, pictures and all? General contractor: you know it. Owner: okay, smart butt, now do it at 12 feet, 4 feet from the deck. You're making 20% on this screw up, aren't you? General contractor: 20% to the build invoice. We're going to have demo crew come in, then all new material, plus the crew already said it's going to be a 50% upcharge since we're preventing them from going to their next site. Yeah, just be happy it's not coming out of your pocket. Because the architect gave wrong information and it was built as per his guidelines, he had to fork out a few thousand out of his own pocket to us dumb construction workers to fix his mistake. Learned 2 valuable lessons that day. 1, always do as you're told, no matter if it makes sense, except when it endangers a life. 2, document everything, no matter how trivial, it'll cover your butt. I wonder if the architect still goes around telling people who ask questions, "I don't make mistakes," or if he learned his lesson. Somehow, I still doubt he thinks this is his fault. I don't care if you made the trails, it's still private property. So this happened a couple of years ago. I grew up in West Virginia, but I had a grandfather who lived in Pennsylvania. He lived in a pretty forested area with not a lot of neighbors and owned about 27 acres. We would visit my grandfather on most holidays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, etc., and I would always drive his four-wheeler around the trails in those woods. I knew those trails really well since I'd grown up driving on them. So when my grandfather died, my mom inherited the house and all the land with it. We drove up there within the week to make sure the house was in a good, livable condition, as we'd not been up there for about 3 years and my parents were planning on selling it. I decided to take the old four-wheeler out onto the trails to make sure they were clear of debris so whoever bought the house could enjoy the trails like we had. Like I said before, I knew those trails really well, so when I came up to a trail that I'd never seen before, I got a little suspicious and decided to go down it. Now, my grandfather had had problems with hunters trespassing before, so his land was very clearly marked with no trespassing signs. Now, after driving down the trail for a couple of minutes, I eventually came into this person's backyard. I decided to drive back to my grandfather's house and let my dad know of this random trail leading to this person's backyard and ask him what we should do about it. I got back to my grandfather's house and told my dad about the trail, and he said he wanted to come back down with me to that house and inform them that they were trespassing on private land. So my dad drove us back down on the four-wheeler to this trail leading to the house, but on the way there, we're still on my grandfather's property, we passed this maybe 13-year-old kid on an ATV. My dad waved him down and the kid stops. My dad shut off the four-wheeler and informed the kid that he was trespassing on private land. The kid in his snobby little voice said, "But I made these trails, so I should have every right to drive on them." My dad said he still trespassed to make the trails, and just because he made them doesn't give him the right to trespass on our land. The kid replied back with, "Well, I spent all summer on these trails and put a lot of hard work into them, so you should just let me drive on them anyway." My dad told him he needed to leave right then or he was going to call the police. The kid let out a long, annoyed sigh and said, "Whatever," and took off back towards his house. Later that day, my dad went down the trail to where my grandfather's property ended and blocked it off with a rope and a very obvious no trespassing sign. We thought that was the end of it, but even later that day, we got a knock on our door. It was the kid and his dad. MD is my dad, ED is Entitled Dad. Entitled Dad: "My son here says you were trespassing on our land and kicked him off his trail." My dad: "Actually, your son was trespassing on our land and was very rude when I asked him to leave. But my son made that trail. He has just as much right to be on them as you do." Actually, no, he doesn't. He trespassed to make that trail, and he has absolutely no rights to be on it. But he spent all summer making them and worked really hard. Just let him go on the trails, or I'll call the police. Go ahead and call the police. It'll save me a phone call I have to make. Then this entitled dad literally pulls out his cell phone and dials 911 to report people trespassing on his son's trail right in front of us. My dad, being the non-confrontational guy he is, waits for the police to show up, which takes like 30 minutes because of how far out we are. The moment the police officer steps out of his car, this entitled dad starts yelling at them about how we trespassed on their trail and we should be arrested right then and there. Another officer steps out of the car and walks over to us and asks what happened. We calmly explain to him the situation, and he goes back to talk with the other officer who's still dealing with screaming entitled dad. After the officers calmed entitled dad down, they told him they need to leave and not come back or he would be arrested on trespassing charges. The dad is screaming at us and cussing us out the whole time him and his son are walking back to their truck. The dad gets in and starts the truck and peels out of the driveway. My dad thanks the officers, they leave, and we go inside. We never had any more major problems like that with the entitled dad and his son, except for them repeatedly ripping down the rope with the no trespassing sign on it. I almost hoped that the dad and kid would trespass again so they'd get arrested, but we never saw them on the land again. Right, like metaphorically peeing on a tree makes it yours, regardless of the person who legally owns it? And our last story. Lady wants free pizza. I used to work at a little pizzeria, and right after a busy night, we'd sometimes end up with a couple of mistake pizzas that we couldn't sell sitting on top of the oven, like if the cook accidentally put on the wrong toppings or a slightly burned pizza, stuff like that. Well, one night, about 20 minutes before closing, a lady comes in and proceeds to tell me a sob story about her and her son being stranded and hungry, having nothing to eat all day, and can I give her a free pizza? Me. You're in luck. I actually do have an extra pizza tonight, and you can have it. Lady, can I see it? Me, taking the pizza box off the oven and showing her a perfectly fine pepperoni and mushroom pizza. Lady, ew, it's got mushrooms on it. Me, I guess so. Lady, can you make me a different pizza? Me, not for free. If you want a pizza to order, I'll have to charge you for it. Lady, but I don't have any money, so take this free one then. Lady, but I don't like mushrooms. Me, you can pick them off. Lady, making a disgusted face. I don't want that one. Can you give me anything else? Me, sorry, this is the only thing I can give you for free. She then makes an angry sigh and just walks out. Doesn't take the pizza. Guess they weren't that hungry. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.